Hello and welcome. This is gonna be my review of Salt and Sacrifice. This game it's a 2D Souls-like. It's the sequel to a video game called Salt and Sanctuary, which was also a 2D Souls-like indie game. That one was a Metroidvania. And let me just start the review there, saying that I really enjoyed the first game. Salt and Sanctuary, played it a few years ago on the Switch. Really fun. Felt very much like a Souls-like game. The map was really cool. It was one giant interconnected map, kind of like just like a really good Metroidvania map. All kinds of secrets, like all kinds of different environments and biomes. Everywhere felt really unique. I was able to, figure out the layout of the map over time, figure out what area is connected to what. This game, not so much. So this game, you have your hub area here called the Pardoner's Vale. Basically, the story starts, you're like a prisoner, and you're given one option to not go to prison, and that's to come here to the Pardoner's Vale and become an Inquisitor and destroy mages. That's literally the explanation you're given for the story of this game, period. So we all know Souls games and Souls-like games are often very minimalistic on story. I mean, some of the best games ever made are minimalistic on story, like Shadow of the Colossus. So, that alone does not necessarily hurt it, but there's no explanation of what you're doing or why in this game, and then things don't even really seem to feel or have weight or aura. You're just kind of so you have this hub world, and then it's like Demon Souls, where you warp to other places that are all separate and disconnected from one another. Only Demon Souls was not linear. You could go to any order in any level, you could go to any level in any order you wanted to. This game, not so much. This game, you do the first level, then the second, then the third, etc. And each level kind of is its own Metroidvania, but the maps, in my opinion, this first map is probably the best designed one. But in general, the maps are not amazingly designed. A lot of shit blends together. Throughout this game, you will think to yourself many times, am I in this room that looks like this, or that room that looks like this? That was a common experience for me. Even between worlds, you'll be thinking, wait, there's a room like this in a different world. Where does this one go? Oh boy. Like Souls games, hold on. Am I being approached? Yeah, I'm being approached. Yeah, I'm just playing because I'm not going to make an edited video out of this. I'm just gonna talk over playing. So, you pick up items, you have your inventory, helmets, armor, gloves, leggings, weapons, ranged weapons, and then you've got, here's your secondary equipment like rings and amulets. You've got consumables here. There's multiplayer. This game has multiplayer, so there's a bunch of multiplayer items. I didn't play any of it, but it's similar to Souls games multiplayer. You can have cooperators, you can have invaders, you can leave messages for people. You've got your materials here. This is for basically making weapons and armor. And then key items. So, it's really very similar to a Souls game. The first one, Salt and Sanctuary, I would have said was a dead-on Souls clone. It just happened to be 2D. But other than that, it was very much a Souls clone. And an excellent one. I've told so many people about Salt and Sanctuary, about what a good game it is. This is New Game Plus, by the way. I just beat the game. That's something. This is like, so in the Metroidvania aspect, there are still, like, even though this isn't one large interconnected map, there still are Metroidvania aspects. You'll eventually get a power source to, like, power up these pulleys that serve as shortcuts. I'll eventually open that door to be able to travel through there. You know, standard Souls type of stuff. You've got your different weapon types. Like you can have 2 different weapons equipped at once. You just change them by hitting up on the D-pad. I've got this glaive, which turned out not to be an amazing weapon. It uses a ton of stamina. It's really slow. I wound up just going with the twin daggers and just attacking really fast. You've got like weapon arts. Like I can do that to power up my daggers. Now they are stronger and they hit farther. I've got this, which is just like a straight up magic attack. Oh yeah, you get a grappling hook eventually, so you can hook onto those like flashing spots. So it's, you know, it's your standard Souls-esque game, but like, it starts off okay, and the fun kind of fades. Literally, there are bosses in this game, but like, aside from the story bosses, which there are a handful of, which are of different varying levels of interestingness in terms of their designs and their mechanics. Mostly what you're fighting in these games, aside from the little piddly enemies, are mages. Like, you're given this mission. If you don't want to go to prison, you're gonna destroy all the mages. The mages are plaguing the land. And, like, all throughout the game, like, you're just constantly fighting mages, who are these big, big, like, boss-type creatures. And every mage, like, has a bunch of spells where they can just, like, cover the surrounding area in hitboxes. Almost every enemy in this game is either like stupidly easy or frustratingly difficult. The mages all like summon various creatures. This enemy, if I was in New Game and not New Game Plus, that guy would be really difficult. This door, you have to like devour the hearts of 3 named mages to proceed. So you have to like go around and find these mages, destroy them, and then that also is another Metroidvania aspect, kind of like Super Mario 64 Star Doors. There are mage heart doors in this game, and like that's basically what you're doing, is just going around finding items, you know, getting equipment and defeating mages. Every mage the mages are all divided by elements. There are fire mages, water mages, poison mages, ice mages, electric mages, wind mages, dark mages, light mages, time mages, etc. There's probably like at least 20 different kinds. And they all fight kind of differently, but you wind up fighting all of their encounters fairly similarly, even though they're technically different enemies. They're all big. They all summon 1 to 2 different kinds of creatures. Okay, here's like a regular boss. Let's fight this boss. So you'll see this is a Souls game. Like, you gotta dodge his attacks. This guy's very easy. This guy's actually insanely easy. Most enemies... This is not a good representation of the difficulty of this game. Most enemies attack 3 to 4 times faster than this guy. They all have ridiculous combos. Like, most enemies, they attack, and you go to attack them at the end of their combo, and they're already on top of you with another attack. The punish windows in this game are so small, it is absurd. Yeah, this guy's a gimme boss. This is, like, not a representation of what most of this game is like. Like, a lot of the time, you just have a fucking insane number of enemies and magical hitboxes on top of you. But yeah, every mage encounter goes the same. You find them, they summon a shitload of enemies to surround them, you take them out, and they warp somewhere else. And you chase them across the level. Typically, every mage needs to be killed actually about 4 or 5 times. And then you finally kill it, and you have to kill it with a critical hit. Like, mages, when you get them down to low health, they, like, will get staggered, and then you can critical them, and then they die. And that's what you'll be doing most of the game. is fighting mages. I probably fought 100 mages to get through the game. And yeah, each of them needs to be killed 5 times and chased across the map. All the side quests are just fighting extra mages. And literally once you've... Like, every mage has a set of equipment. The equipment comes in classes. So there's class 1 through 5... light armor and heavy armor, and every weapon type has class 1 through 5. There's all your standard weapon types. There's like big great swords, there's hammers, there's like magical staves, there's, you know, twin daggers, there's rapiers, there's spears, and then there's a bunch of like, you know, there's crossbow, there's throwing daggers, there's throwing axes, there's just like range weapons. But yeah, like, so every mage has a set of equipment you can get off them, has a few different weapons you can get off them, and then there'll be like, so here's your accessories. You got 2 rings that they can each give you different buffs. You've got an amulet slot that amulets give you buffs, and you have a dagger slot. Daggers give you buffs. And every mage you can get one, or you can get, yeah, you can get one of each of these, and then a trophy, which is just like an aesthetic item for your base. And that's it. Like, once you've beaten like 2 pyromancers and gotten all the like the fire fucking materials, like here, dragon steer, ember scale, oh no, those might be dragon materials, but regardless, like here's some. Well, no, that's for upgrading items, but that still comes from the fire enemies. Like, once you've beaten a few copies of a certain mage, you have everything you need to make all the equipment, and then everything after that is just to get more souls off of them. Or, not souls, but salt, or whatever. The point is, it just becomes very repetitive, and there's really nothing else to look forward to in the game. You find new items, like the hook shot, or the power source for the pulleys, so that you can travel to new areas. You find keys to unlock doors. You battle enemies over and over, and you fight these mages, and that's really it. You find out very little about the lore. It's all very obscure. It's like Dark Souls in that sense. Let me warp out of here and go to the level up tree so I can show you how the level up system works. You get salt, and that is your level up experience. It's like a Souls game where if you die, you leave your salt behind and you gotta go retrieve it. If you lose it again, it's gone for good. You do have money called silver in this game, which is separate from salt, but you lose that too if you die. So, and there's not a ton of use for money. There's a few like vendors that you can find throughout the world that'll come back here where you can buy shit. So, like, level up a bunch of levels. I get these black star stones, allow you... Basically, this game has like a sphere grid. It's a giant branching skill tree, but it's basically like a sphere grid, and the black star stones are what you need to fill in the spheres. Gray star stones will allow you to undo spheres. So there, I got 6 levels. Here's the tree. It's this big-ass tree. It was the same as in the first game. I remember a lot of people complaining about that in Salt and Sanctuary. It's like... The skill tree is a little bit overwhelming. All you need to know is from the middle, it branches out into all the different weapon and magic types. So I have, here's glaives. I went up to level 5 glaives. There's my class 5 glaives. Class 5 rapiers, because I started using rapiers instead of glaives. I've got my class 5 twin daggers over here. I've got my class 5 light armor, crossbows, and then forbidden glyphs, which... Forbidden glyphs and divine glyphs are either magical or basically faith-based ashes of war. You need these in order to actually use them on the weapons. So this is your level up. You just like put your points into whatever. And so here's where a lot of like the story fill-in can come from. Every single one of these nodes has a little piece of a story. It's all fucking random. If you wanted to put it all together, you would have... It would be a lot of work to put this all together. There's like 5 or 10 different stories in here. And then like the NPCs tell you stuff, but it's all very... It's like a Souls game where they're expecting you to like become interested in the mystery And I feel like it worked better in Salt and Sanctuary, and I unfortunately struggle to remember the details because I played that game like several years ago. Oh yeah, I don't have the grappling hook. Like, you can talk to these NPCs. You're Eric McLennan, I trust. There's my name. I am Champion Hera. I'm technically in charge here at Partners Vale, but I do my penance here just as you do. It's like... this game's doing everything like the original Demon's Souls, except, I don't know, it just feels very phoned in. There's not a lot of weight or aura to any of this information you're presented with, or the areas. Like, it all the trappings of a game are here. It just doesn't feel that immersive. It's like they just phoned it in. It's like paint by numbers is kind of how this game feels. It feels like they should have done way more testing. The enemies get so brutally overwhelming. Like, I imagine anybody who did a melee-ish build, even though I do have the crossbows, anybody who went with a melee-ish build like me and didn't go for any spells, like in Salt and Sanctuary, I was basically a faith user, which in this game it's called Conviction, is like your faith stat. And I had crazy spells by the end, so maybe that's why, or one of the reasons why I enjoyed the first one better than this one. But yeah, in this game, the enemies are so overwhelming. So many of the bosses and mages, like, just chop at you, hack at you constantly. So many of their like, look how fast I can roll. So many of their attacks come out more frequently than that, so you literally can't roll all the attacks. There is like a deflect, like a perfect dodge, like you can, or not a perfect dodge. Like a block. You can block attacks. Every weapon, like, there are no shields, but every weapon has a block rate. Like, damage block 65%, blocking cost minus 40%, so it takes 40% extra stamina to block with this, but it blocks 65% of damage. You know, this is 60%, but only minus 15 for stamina. If you hit block, like, right as they hit you, it's a perfect block. I never learned to do those, so maybe if you're, like, hardcore with the perfect blocks, this game gets better. I don't know, but I just felt myself getting fucking brutalized by enemies. Even when I was quite OP, and even when I was able to just stand back and pelt them. There's just so many other enemies they summon to get on top of you. There are so many fucking, like, desynchronized hitboxes that they just summon into the arena, like some giant fucking rotating magic spell, and then while the magic spell is like on top of you and it's huge, like, they're also attacking you and their minions are also attacking you. Oh man, I just really felt like this game lacked in playtesting. I watched the credits. There was only one playtester. Like, there were more people on marketing for this game than there were that actually made the game. I don't know what to say. I feel bad. I raged so much during this playthrough. I was really, really harsh on the creator of this game. I threw some pretty big insults at the creator of this game because I'm so disappointed. I mean, the first... Oh, there's the cat that has fucking antlers for some reason. Kind of cute. But Salt and Sanctuary was just so fun. It was just such a fun Metroidvania Souls-like. The world felt... I hate this term because it's so overused, but the world in Salt and Sanctuary felt, quote-unquote, lived in. It felt like a real world that you were exploring, and the further you got into it, it felt like you were uncovering its mysteries and really progressing. This game is just like, yeah... paint by numbers. Oh, yeah, you got into a new world. Go find the rune book so that you can find a different set of runes to warp somewhere different, and then you get a new place to warp to. The new place is going to have a new, like, Metroidvania item that will let you, like, traverse, like, some kind of different, you know, platform or whatever. And, you know... that's it. Get to the end of the game. You beat the final boss. The final boss was kind of underwhelming. And then, like, spoilers, but you essentially just choose whether to link the flame or not. You know, this game's version of do you link the flame or not. The ending has, like, a, I don't know, like a 10-second little clip it plays for you, and then that's it. It's over. This game, for me, personally, and I'm very interested to know other people's opinions, but this game was a big disappointment compared to the first one. And I'm at 20 minutes. I don't really feel the need to say too much more about this game. I would say if you've never played this game, or you've never played the original, but you're looking for like a 2D Souls-like, play the original Salt and Sanctuary. It's quite worth it. If you played the first one and you're wondering whether this one's as good as the first one, personally, I don't think so. I really don't think so. Like, it's so weirdly designed. Like, you'll be like towards the end of the game and they're still handing out like useless equipment to you, like class 0, class 1, class 2 equipment. Like, this game feels rushed. It feels unpolished. And it feels like, honestly, a cash grab based on the merits and the success of the first game. So that's what I've got. If I'm wrong, if I'm crazy, let me know in the comments section. I would appreciate it. I'm not trying to be a prick when I insult this game, but I just really feel disappointed, and I feel kind of abused as a fan of the first game, who has, like, voluntarily proselytized and evangelized this game to all kinds of people. Or not this game, but the first one. And I just assumed that this one would be just as good. And, it just ain't always like that. So, yeah. Thanks a lot. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Helps out my channel a ton. I appreciate you. Now I'm going to go back to finishing off the post-end game of The Witness, which I enjoyed a ton more than Salt and Sacrifice. But The Witness is a totally different game. That's a puzzle game. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Peace out.